Lance Mechanics here today, and I'm going to do a video on pros and cons. And this might be more cons than pros, because look at this. I did a Google search and look what I found right here. Here's where Google went immediately. Really, Google? Really? So you type in pros on Google and it immediately goes to negative. It goes cons right away. And I did so many Google searches, and what people were putting in the pros and cons list were absolute garbage. Like, here's a pro, you got a steady 40 hours of work a week. I'm like, that's like every job you're hoping for. So this is going to quickly devolve into a negatives video. I'm sorry. If you guys got positives, post them in the comments, because I find it so hard some days. So I'm going to start with the positives I know. The positive is you can fix anything. You're a mechanic. You're very sought after. Don't get me wrong. There's a lot of negatives to this, but you're very sought after. Everybody in the world uses vehicles or some form of vehicle for transportation. These things aren't infallible. They're going to break down. When they break down, who do they come crying to? The mechanics, or the owner of the mechanics. Let's put it that way, the shop owners. So as a mechanic, you're always going to have a job, no matter what. Even with EVs, these things break down just as much as automotive guys. I don't care what all these EV Kool-Aid drinking people are saying. I've worked on enough EVs as an ICE guy, and it's all the same. At the end of the day, it's all junk. You have to understand that. So you're always going to be sought after, and as a mechanic, you have the option to go wherever you want. It's a lie. Like, you can go anywhere. It doesn't matter. You can go any garage, anywhere. If you're a licensed guy, they're going to hire you. I've experienced it. The people, they want you. They're going to try and nickel and dime you, but they do want you. Don't forget that. And here's coming into my other part of it. Your skills are transferable. All these things online saying, oh, your electronics, your coolant diagnostics, your AC isn't transferable. That is a bull-faced lie. They're doing that to keep you in the industry. As a mechanic, you can go anywhere. You can branch out. You're going to be an apprentice again, and you got a lot to learn, but you're going to eventually get above everybody else. You know what they say as a mechanic? Jack of all trades, master of none, but often better than the master of one. You never get to hear the full saying because people like to knock you down, beat you to the ground. So this is a potential pro to being a mechanic. If you have the drive, you have the business savvy, or even if you're just a go-getter, you can eventually be your own owner. Single man garage owner, you will do very well. I've very, very, very rarely seen, at least in my area, a single person garage struggling. Again, it depends on the person, but if you got that drive, you can open your own business and be successful. That's a pro of being a mechanic. It's like any other trades, like HVAC, mechanical, plumbing. They can eventually open their own business. A lot of mechanics don't, unfortunately, and I'm kind of pushing the industry towards that. Hopefully it does. So yeah, that's another bonus to being a mechanic or a pro. You can be your own boss one day. Here's one I don't think people talk about much, and I consider it a pro, is being a mechanic. You get to meet people from all walks of life. I made so many friendships. I got to hear so many stories in life. I love talking to customers. That is a huge benefit. People say mechanics aren't social. That is a lie. We are all social. The problem is when we meet other mechanics, we got egos. We're like, I repaired this like this. I did this. We try and one-up each other. It's kind of funny, but mechanics are very social. I love talking to customers. I love getting to know them. Next time they come in, they're bringing me a coffee. They're bringing me a donut. They're referring me friends to do work on the side. That's the pro of being a mechanic, is networking, connections. People don't talk about it often. It's a very huge one. That's where I found some of my jobs later down the line in life, is just through talking. You got to be social. You got to be connective. Another thing is these connections lead to more work on the side that you can do. That's a pro. If you're willing to do that, yeah, that's a great thing. I consider this a huge pro because I love teaching. Depends on where you are. If you're at a dealership, this is a negative for some people. When I was at the private garage, I absolutely love teaching. You're able to impart your knowledge onto somebody young and impressionable, and if you do it right, they're going to remember you for the rest of your life. Even when you're long and gone, they're going to teach you what they possibly could teach their kids. This is all transferable skills. This is all stuff you can leave an impression on. And I think that's one of the biggest pros of being a mechanic, is you're able to teach what you know to somebody else. And people have always brought this up as a negative, especially at the dealership. Here's what it is. I personally love teaching. That's why I did it for a little bit. And once you get into this mentality, you want to teach, you want to help out, you want to see these people successful. It's a very positive thing in your life, and go for it. So yes, there are more pros, and I'm going to rely on people in the comments to put the pros on, because there's some other stuff I really wanted to talk about. The biggest con or negative, I think, for an automotive technician is our mental health is utterly wrecked. and something I'm going to talk a little bit slower about. We can get into deep here. To be a mechanic at a private garage and or a dealership is constant stress and mental fatigue, and it's so hard to explain, especially to the average person who is an automotive mechanic, this kind of mental wear and tear on us. Me physically, I'm like 250 pounds, 6'1". I can go physically for days on end and I won't stop. But you know what takes the most time to recover for me on the weekend is mentally. I am just mentally drained at the end of a week. When I was in automotive, physically I could keep going, but I was like a zombie. And people who are in the trades understand what I'm talking about. The average blue collar worker who's in an office might not. Well, actually, you know what? The office people would too. They do a lot of mental stuff. So imagine the mental and physical strain that a mechanic goes through. And all industries go through this, and a lot of people just don't understand it. So I have been in situations where this one time I got caught on a speed camera. I was speeding. There was no doubt about it. Brand new car. I didn't have to do this. There's another car approach. I just made poor decisions. Absolutely poor decisions. So I took a corner way too fast. Anyways, the lady, well within her rights, said, hey, he's trying to damage my car, hurt my car. Anyways, the next day we're in a meeting. The manager's there. He's yelling, screaming. He's like, I don't care who it is. Meanwhile, I'm standing there emotionless. But on the inside, I'm like having a massive panic attack because I screwed up, and I screwed up hard. And mechanics have a lot of panic attacks. We don't talk about this. There's days where you screwed up, or you did something, and what do you do? Like, how do you react? There's no one situation fits all for us. And then we have jobs where we can't successfully diagnose them no matter how good we are. We can't get through it. And on the back of our mind, if you're flat rate, it's like it's chipping away at your pay. There's so much mental fatigue and drama and stress for us that it's a huge con. I can't think of any other industry I've been in where I felt anything like this. It wrecks a mechanic. That's why we tend to become bitter, angry, all the above. Like it's very, very hard, and mechanics are very strained, and it's just never talked about. So, put in your comments and or opinions on that one, because people have asked me, and I don't know a good way to explain it other than let other people explain their situations. But tell you what, being an automotive mechanic, I've had the most panic attacks ever in this industry, and you just keep it in, you keep it silent, you just kind of be emotionless. You don't let people know what's going on. And I can see it in the face of other mechanics when they were being chewed out, younger guys. I'm like, yep, they're having a panic attack. You can see it, like little twitches, and they're just kind of staring dead into the wall. You notice it. But I tell you what, I remember with one employer who noticed this stuff. He's like, he used to bring on board people who had health issues and stuff like that, extra labor. He paid them very well. It was so minute that he's like, okay, we got to go stop this kid from going home and blowing his brains out. And we did everything to like make sure he was mentally sound and this and that. And that gave me a lot of skills to find out when someone was having a hard time. You work with all kinds of people in your walk of life, and you want to help them. So mental strain is a huge one on that. Now let's talk about physical strain. Me, being how tall I am, I have yet to work in a place with a hoist that's high enough, and I'm always doing the splits. My legs are like a perfect triangle to try and work on a vehicle. Honestly, even if you're 5 feet tall, you're still kind of doing the splits on most hoists, because I don't know who they designed them for. The average mechanic is definitely over 5 feet, and it's just a weird thing you don't think about. And I've yet to see a garage who has a proper height of a ceiling with a proper height of a hoist. And it might work okay for little cars, but the second you put a truck on a hoist, you lose so much height. Now you're working at these weird angles. Get so much neck strain, shoulder strain, arm strains. Your body is just destroyed. Chemicals, breathing in stuff. To be a mechanic is a very, very physically demanding job. It just sucks away at your health. That's a huge con. I've gone into it in other videos. Huge con. I know this has been beat to death, but the cost of tools, it doesn't mean it's any less important than anything else. It's just way too much for us to be mechanics, and the cost of tools. And I see a lot of people from Europe commenting, and they're just blown away that in North America, we still have the flat rate system. We still have to pay for our tools and all this other stuff. They're just blown away by the way we're treated here in North America, and maybe that should be an eye-opener for everybody. We get the short end of the stick in North America. Capitalism, woo! We can run it. I could talk about this forever. It's not that it's not important. It's just been beat to death. Our cost of tools and education. It's a big one. Another one is wages. The wages are garbage. I feel like I already talked about this in the video, but I want to at least talk about it again. For a mechanic, wages are just garbage for what we do, for what we have to spend, for what we have to know. The wages are just garbage. And again, it's been beat to death. I've heard in my city now, there's mechanics who have negotiated. They're well into the 50 plus. I know this is Canadian, but they're making 50 plus an hour as an automotive mechanic because their boss doesn't want to lose them. The fact that they had to negotiate that because their boss panicked when they wanted to leave is kind of tells you how the industry is. It's not fair to mechanics. The only time you get a pay raise is when you're threatening to leave. And us being mechanics, once we made that decision, we are friggin' focused. We want out of there. I heard a story of a guy I was working with. He threatened to quit. He wanted $6 an hour more to keep him. They said no. And when he was out the door, they offered him $3 more. Like, really? You couldn't even give him what he wanted. And that's a common story here. It's like the second you're rolling your cart out of the industry, they start panicking. But when you're there and you're being respectful and you're talking to them, they're kind of just not listening to you or talking to you or understanding what's going on. And that's unfortunate. There's so many more cons, but I'm just keeping it simple for the public here. If you've I rely on the mechanics input here, and I'm seeing from all my other videos, the public is watching what we put in. They love to read the comments. The video content's just a bonus. The comments is where the heart of the industry is at. So obviously I missed stuff. I missed a lot here. I'm just kind of rambling on. So add in the comments what you think. There's definitely a lot of pros and cons of this industry. And for me, the biggest pros is your skills are transferable. You can do anything. A mechanic can do anything. You just got to be told you can do anything, and there's so many negative people willing to put us down out there. So stay positive, stay out there. Lance Mechanics, have a good one.